Hello everyone and welcome to an online chess class where I'm going to teach you about perhaps the hardest topic in chess, defense. Let me just make sure that you guys are able to see me and hear me well before we start. Don't be shy and you're welcome to say hello in the chat. All right, we have a confirmation. Welcome to the chat. Spacklintor, is that the name? Yeah, Lit21 is also saying hello everyone. So slowly everyone is gathering and I think we can little by little start the lesson. We're gonna start slowly with easy examples and then bit by bit we can get to the very hardest and most exciting ones as well. Hello Shuvo, nice to see you here. Hope you're doing well. So nice to see everyone joining from the past streams. I'm so happy to see you guys. Welcome. So hopefully we're gonna have even more fun than the last time today. Hello Ibrahim, Aniko, hello everyone. Hello to Samir, nice to see you again. So today's topic is, as I mentioned, probably the hardest topic in chess. Like when I saw that I will be the coach that is going to cover the defense, it was both hard at first, I thought so, but also very exciting. Now today we're gonna look at both tactical defenses. At first we're gonna start with some very easy, simple tactics of the defense. But we're also going to touch a lot of the defense as strategy. I'm going to give you lots of tips and lots of very good examples which you can implement into your game and get better at defending. So someone is already pointing out in the chat the structure is going to be this. First we'll look at 6-7, according to me, most important tactics in the topic of the defense. And then we slowly go to the strategy, where we're gonna have a lot more complicated ones, perhaps a few tactics here and there that's gonna be more advanced as well. Don't worry, those of you who already know the solution, this one is white to play. And Yelita and Shuva already pointing, and Samir even, all pointing out the answer in this position. Yes, black is threatening queen g2 mate in 1. And so we're placing our queen here on the e4 square. It's very important that not only the queen is watching over the g2 square where black is threatening the mate, but also our knight is covering d1 where opponent's queen would give a checkmate otherwise. So let's go to number 2. Very good, guys. Another puzzle, this time a bit harder. White to play and defend. So here there are players that could already go wrong. When you're defending, try to concretely ask what's the threat. Here it's more obvious than perhaps in the other examples that we're going to be looking at, but it's very important when you're defending to name concrete threat. So in this case, black is threatening queen g2 checkmate. So how can white defend the mate and not lose any material? So white to defend and be super safe. Yelit, congratulations, we have a correct answer already in the chat. Very nice. Now, usually, I would like you guys, Samir and Shuvo, if you can, to pinpoint a sequence of moves. So not only giving the first move, you know how I like it, Shu already sees. Hello, Juan, welcome to the chat. So try to give me a couple of moves. Then I, as a coach, know that you guys, you saw all what you needed. Now, very interesting move by Spacklintor. If I correct it the right way, apologies if I do not. Queen b3 actually would seem to be also a way to prolong the game. But here we run into bishop d5. Ouch, right? Still threatening the mate and also hitting the queen. So many players were correct in this case. Samir was correct and Shuva was also correct by suggesting the move queen to c4. So we're placing our queen on c4 so that she could come back to f1 and defend the mate threat. So the point of the check is really not to attack the black's king, but just to use it as a temporary station for the queen to get back to f1. So after, say, similar move bishop to d5, we can place our queen on the f1 square, and so white's kingdom is saved. Congratulations for you, for those of you who solved this. Number 3, still simple tactics, yet very, very important. We have number 3 over here. And we have a very similar one. This one I won't even ask you guys to solve. You're good enough to see this, but perhaps if there are some beginners in the audience, I would love to show you this simple trick that is also very important. Black is defending now against queen g7 mate. And so we can bring our queen back here from a3, similarly to the previous example, and defend the g7 square. Also very important for me to mention. Now I can fall asleep at night. And alright, a little bit different pattern this time. Black to play and defend without losing any material. And please guys, you're all my students today, so I would like you to give me a sequence of moves. Try to not just give the first move, but the whole important variation in this line. Alright, I will be following the chat. And if you have any kind of chess related questions that I can answer, I would gladly do so for you guys. So don't be shy, don't bite. Others know who already saw me for a couple of streams. Please do ask questions. I know that there is Carlsen versus Saw going on, a blitz match of 2 legendary chess players, so we're perhaps not gonna be the biggest audience today, but I'm happy that you guys are enjoying the defense and learning how to defend in chess. Very interesting suggestion by Spaklintor. Hello Memi Khalil, also suggesting the same move. So Spaklintor and also Memo is suggesting king to g8. If you guys can, give us the full lines. Thank you, Spaklintor, for explaining me what was your idea. And you're absolutely right. In the previous examples, we could put a piece to defend where the threat is. Jair Martins is also correct. And even IT Hacker is correct. All of you are correct. Welcome to the chat. Very happy to see you all. So this time black is not able to put any piece to defend h7. So we're gonna run away with the king. Also very important method of defending against checkmate would be just simply to run away. And it's important to see that here we have knight g8. And so black is defending. 1 or 2 more tactics and we're going to advanced strategy. Promise you guys, okay? Number 5th. Are you guys ready? I can hear you're ready. Also very simple, but different from the previous ones. I'm sure that you're gonna see this very quickly. We're gonna not take a lot of time on this one. Black to play and defend against the concrete threat of queen to g2. Queen b7, sorry. It's colors reversed, right? All right. We have already the correct answer in the chat. Very much correct. It's just that perhaps the wrong notation. They're saying f6 and f3, but it's c6. But both Yalit and Jair Martins, I know what you mean. And also, Appeal Chaudhry is suggesting c6. We're interfering with the white's bishop control over the b7 square, and so after the bishop moves, we can play this endgame with the majority of the pawns 3 versus 2 for the win. All right, one last tactic that is from the easy section, and we're going to strategy. All right, this one is my favorite one out of the tactics. All right, white to play and defend against rook to f1 without losing any material. I don't want to hear rook g2, guys, okay? White to play and defend. So what could be the solution here? Here it's kind of like a bit thinking outside the box. I like this one a lot. Actually, the higher the rated player, at least when I give this one to my students, the harder they find this. So children that are low rated find it a lot easier. Okay, we have one option by Jerry Martins. Yalit is also suggesting a move. And you are guys correct. Apil Chandri is as well correct. Here we have to find a natural maybe looking king to gh1. What does that move do? Well, after rook f1, now we have rook to g1, huh? And now we're defending against mate. And again, white is safe. Perhaps black has compensation, white has a pawn. Black's rook is very active, but nevertheless we can hope perhaps to draw this one. We're not getting mated, material is equal, all is good for white. All right, congratulations. And now let's move to something different. Let's find number 7. And here it's completely different story. All right, completely different story from the previous one. This one is pure strategy. And there are many good moves in this position. So all I'm going to show you is the best way perhaps to play in this position. And it's going to be a super important tip for you in any kind of similar structures. So I'm welcoming you to suggest moves for white in this position. And what would you play? So black perhaps is not threatening something, but he wants to do something strategic in the next moves. And I wonder if you could play something that could prevent that. And suggest any kind of moves that you would like to make in this position for the pieces of white. This one is going to be not to play or win or anything like that. And even if you go wrong in this one, you maintain the advantage. But practically, the solution to the puzzle, which I'm going to show you, will give you much better chances. And you never know when the tip or the way to play this exact position correctly is going to transpose into many different positions. So if you know how to say an idea here for white, you can apply this in many different structures, and there the price of the move might be a bit higher than it is here. So white to play, strategy, and what would you play? Doesn't seem that much is going on, and I agree that it looks like any of white's move would be completely fine. And perhaps it is, right? But I'm gonna show you something very interesting, an idea. All right. So now once some times have passed, there are quite a few suggestions in the chat, and they're all different. So we have first a suggestion that is knight to e2. So in general, I don't like to be moving my piece twice in the opening. I think it's premature to remaneuver the knight at this particular moment, and the development should be far more important, unless you remaneuver the knight to a very much more efficient square than it is on c3. We have bishop e2, queen f5. I'm going to show you something very interesting, and how does black play these type of positions. So pretty much against everything you said, black can achieve the same plan. Let's imagine bishop to e2 or bishop d3, doesn't matter much. Black has a terrible bishop on f8, which is both bad and passive. Pawns in the center and the dark squares, that this makes the bishop unuseful. What he wants to do is to exchange the dark square bishop for any of the white's minor pieces. However, it would be even fantastic for black if he could exchange the f8 bishop for our good bishop, the opposite color of the pawns in the center, the bishop on c1. So black has an idea of playing bishop to e7, and after say we castle, black can play bishop to g5. And now many Shuvo and Spaklinter are correct about this position. So after bishop g5, black manages to swap his good bishop for a bad bishop. And right now, if we look at the position, white maintains his space advantage, but the position is closed. Bishop on d3 is bad, and knights are favorable in this position. White still is very fine in this position, but the advantage, or part of the advantage, was lost. Plus here, you don't have that typical plan of improving the bishop. Usually a lot of the times in these structures, when the pawn is on c4, we want to play bishop c2 and bishop a4. But now the pawn is on a4, right? Well, still, we could maybe in the future play a5, move the knight, move the pawn, and get it there, right? Okay, bishop on a2 doesn't look too bad either. But if we would maintain black with this bad bishop on f8, just like Shuvo Khan and Spaklinter is suggesting with g3, bishop e7 and h4, that's already much bigger advantage, because we maintain our best minor piece and we maintain our opponent's worst minor piece. You want to play any kind of endgame against that dark square bishop. Imagine we would even exchange, say, the pieces of bishop on c1, knight on g6, knight on b8, and bishop on f1. This even knight versus bishop on e7 is winning. We would have good knight versus bad bishop. And so this gives white probably a completely winning position. And this g3 h4 was under the topic of prophylaxis, which is one of the topics that we have in the defense section. Much more different, guys, than the previous ones, right? Yeah, guys, thank you for the compliments. I'm really happy that you're enjoying the stream. If you could put a like on this video, that means the world to me. Thank you for your comments under the streams and under the videos. Thank you very much, guys. So I will give you a lot of similar ones today. I really tried to make it special today, just like every stream, right? So one of the things that are taught very well when we're working on the defense and prophylaxis, that we are trying to get under opponent's skin. And you as a chess player have to think defense first. When opponent makes a move, you must evaluate his moves first. That doesn't mean that you should be defending first. You have to think defense first. In other words, perhaps you should identify what are opponent's tactical and positional threats to relieve the position, or of course, if it's tactics, to win a piece. And now let's just see how the game continued. Very easy game. Castles, bishop d2, position is closed, tempo don't matter. Also, that's one of the reasons why we could have wasted time with g3 h4. The position is closed. So b6, knight d1. Knight is going to the square e3. And f5, weak square in the opponent's position. And because black has exchanged his light square bishop, that square is free for us to use. So that would be under the topic of knight maneuvering. If there was a stream on knight maneuvering, I would really love to use this kind of example as well. Thank you, Alit. Welcome, Sazad Hussein. Welcome. Thank you very much for watching. So black played knight d7 and white is just achieving his plan. So knight e3, knight to f6. This was a grandmaster game. And now white already tries to build up an attack on the king side. First, he played h5, winning space. Space, guys, is not always an advantage. Space is only an advantage when we restrict opponent's pieces. So if black would be saying, I don't need g6 for any of my pieces, in this case, then h5 is just blank space. It's not an advantage. But in this case, it's obvious that this knight does not want to be on h8. It wants to be on g6, right? So white is bringing the pieces to the king side. That's what essentially attack means. One side having more pieces on a particular side of the board. Black is just defending, indirectly covering the 7th rank. And now we had h6 and black just resigned, right? So everything is like going through, and tactics that are working for white. So for example, if g6, takes a on e7, queen takes e7, bishop g5, and the knight on f6 is lost because we cannot defend it. So in a way, this is more already of an attack, but I wanted attack topic, but I wanted to show you how playing a couple of prophylactic moves which build up an even stronger attack is a way to play. Regarding the move back, I just want to emphasize on why knight d1 is correct. It's because the position is closed. That's one feature. So tempo don't matter. What matters is to get good pieces on good squares. Two, black does not have any threats. So if black had threats of creating any kind of initiative, we couldn't be wasting time. So black is just submissive. He's not threatening anything. And three, knight is getting to much more efficient square than it is on c3. And if you think about kingside attack, knight doesn't have anything to do on the c3 square. So these three arguments are okay why white played knight to d1. Someone is asking who has played it. I could give you the names. I'm gonna type it in the chat for you guys, okay? It's Donner versus, I'm gonna type it. This was the game. And the year, we don't know the year. Which year was it? Oh, year 1962. So if you're later interested, you can find this game online. All right, guys, next one. Now, this one is even more interesting, in a way, or the same interest. It's legendary two players. Like, these ones, you know them very, very well. It's Viswanathan Anand versus Anatoly Karpov. So here we have two world champions. The date when this game was played was, let me just see, I don't know the exact date, but it must be probably 90s. So we have Viswanathan Anand versus Karpov, and Anand is having sort of glimpse of an attack. As you can see, pawn on h5 wins space for black. It takes away the opportunity of playing g6 because of h6, g6, followed by opening up the king side. White perhaps wants to play queen g4, followed by maybe bishop h6 tactics. White is also threatening to play bishop a3 and just covering that diagonal. In the meantime, we cannot play bishop d7 because the pawn on b7 would drop. We cannot even play b6 because a8 rook is hanging. So this is very critical position, and I want to show you what Karpov did to defend that, and also an alternative which is even perhaps, oh, I cannot say better, but another good way. So Shu is asking that who is the best close position player for time? Very hard to say. I think that all the world champions were good in both closed and open positions. Of course, when you refer to closed positions, you more refer perhaps to maneuvering, because that's what matters a lot in the closed positions. And I can just say that the first player that came to my mind was Anatoly Karpov. But I'm not saying he's the greatest or the best, but that's the first name that came to my mind. So critical position, there are, say, maybe there are more than two, but I'm going to show you two solutions. I believe that two moves are better than most others. First, very interesting move that was found in the analysis when I analyzed, and the other one was what Anatoly Karpov played. Need he go need he go L, I think, or Joel, if I pronounce it well. Welcome to the family. So Nidhi is already suggesting a move. Let others think for a little bit longer, just a couple more seconds, and I will then comment your move. All right, Nidhi? Ooh, okay. Queen d5 by Shuvo and Alitan, and Memo is suggesting queen a5. So most of you are correct. This is the two moves that we're gonna look at. Now let's look shortly at queen a5, the one that Memo is suggesting. I would immediately then think that maybe black is okay. We're attacking the pawn and activating our queen, right? The only question is, does that work for white immediately, or he needs to build up an attack? Because that looks very, very scary, does it not? So your queen went completely away from the king side, and now queen is screaming, where is my defense? Who did that, right? Because if we take, right, the rook lifts are coming, right? So rook e3, rook g3, and perhaps we can defend that, right? But it's a mess, and I don't know if we can defend it, because it looks winning to me. So Nirhi was correct, and this is what Anatoly Karpov played. He played f5. So don't touch the f pawn, don't touch the pawns near the king. He broke both principles. f5 is on the board, guys, right? So in the game they didn't take. What happens if they take? I assume that what Anatoly Karpov had in mind is taking with the queen and countering on f2. We are also bringing our queen closer to our king. So for example, bishop to e3 and a queen f5 going for an endgame. So queen f5 is offering a queen swap, and after takes we could take with the rook, and perhaps we could draw that. Our rook is very active on this 5th rank right now. We have options of developing the bishop now once the white's queen is gone, and perhaps also if we need, king is close to defend the e6 pawn. So assume that this was along the lines what Anatoly thought. Now in the game, Anand just pushed back with queen to e2. Now bishop d7, rook d1, bishop to b5, and Karpov was just equal. So we had queen to f3, queen to e8. See how b7 is hanging. But if we take on b7, Anatoly, of course, first of all could develop nasty initiative bishop c6, not to say that h5 is also hanging. So perhaps that's why white didn't take the pawn. So we had bishop to f4, rook to c8, and black is comfortable. White's kingside attack is gone. So f5 was the move. Now let's go back to you guys. Shuvo and Yalit21 was suggesting queen to d5. So with queen to d5 we have the best probably even defense maybe, and congratulations to those of you who solved this move, but there are still questions raised. So first of all, if they take, we can take e takes d5, and black has absolutely no problems here. Isolated pawn is on d5, but so is the pawn on c3. Our bishop is immediately open, and okay, bishop d7, bishop c6 would be to make a passive fortress, immediately clear where to put the pieces, right? So I could just improve my position very easily as black. Now, what if queen to g4, right? So now black is threatening, white is threatening to take on h6. Then a very useful move to remember would be simply placing the king on h8. So now there is no pin along the g file, and so bishop takes h6 is no longer a problem for us. Black can follow that up with, say, b5 or b6, and bishop to b7 with a good game. I think white maybe maintains some kind of advantage here, but black is comfortable. We're able to defend the attack, plus we're able to develop our pieces, right? If we need like rook to e3, you could even play rook g8, right? So yes, some pieces are attacking of whites. This is 3, but if we can defend with only rook on g8, okay, we can use the rest of the army for attack. So it's not that black is gonna sit and wait. Black is going to create counterplay with the yellow pieces over here. All right, next one, 9th. So this is very advanced tactic, or maybe I shouldn't say very advanced, but kind of advanced. And here I want you to take a deep think. If this was a local video, I would really like you guys to pause it and think for even a couple of minutes. Why to play? And maybe I'm gonna make it easier. Those of you who are more advanced, pause the video if you're watching it from here, right? And for all the others, I'm gonna make a couple of moves. So rook is hanging on b2, so we're taking the rook. We're very brave, but black gets an attack. So rook to e1, sorry, king to h2 and h5 here. And now white to play and defend. what to play. There is only one defense, one sequence of moves that would lead white to maintaining a material advantage. Rook up or piece up, and attack is not going to be feasible for black anymore. So white to play and defend. Very hard exercise. And all of you guys who are enjoying the stream, I thank you for the likes. I also appreciate for all of you who after the stream put a comment under the video. Thank you very much, guys. I read most and all of the comments under my videos. Thank you very much for all the happy messages of yours. So we have even 3 different moves. Whoa, that is interesting, guys. There's gonna be a discussion here, it seems, right? All right. Kevin Myberry, welcome to the stream. Nice to see you here. Agraval is also suggesting them how many different moves we have. We have 1, 2, 3 different moves. All right, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna look at all of those 3 for you guys, okay? All right. So first, let's look at not so correct ones, or there is only one correct one, so not correct ones. So what about knight takes h5? So the move that you missed is not knight takes h5. The move that you missed is in between move, which is queen to g1. So I know that when you calculate it, you didn't look at it. Right. Appeal, also welcome to the family, welcome to the chat. Am I right of those who said the elite knight h5? So queen g1, king goes here. Now we take on h5 with a check. Very important, so you don't have queen b8 tricks. Now you take on h5, and then black gets a perpetual. So it's already pretty much seen that you cannot get out of these checks. So say here, queen g5, and okay, there's always a perpetual, right? So if here, queen to e3, right? And if king to h2, and again, queen f4, and here maybe you're getting even checkmated because g3 pieces start falling, right? And after queen f3, white has to resign. So after knight takes h5, everything would be good if they didn't have knight queen g1. Now rook takes d2 is incorrect because of queen g1 followed by rook a1 perhaps, right? So king goes to g3, and here rook takes a1 wins the rook back for black. So this was Kevin's and Agraval's and Mangrover's suggestion. I'm trying to take care of all of you guys. So tactics everywhere, right? And that's why defense is really the hardest skill in chess. When you attack, it's clear, and a lot of times when you're attacking without, of course, sacrifices, then even if you go a bit wrong, it's gonna be okay. When you defend and go wrong, you're getting checkmated, right? So here it's pretty complicated and pretty perhaps complicated puzzle, pretty advanced. We have to play queen to b8, and what's the idea behind it? Well, if they go king to h7, now we have queen to b1 check, and so we can check the king and take the rook on e1. That's the main idea. So for example, if king goes to g8, now we can take on e1 because we have enough defenders to do so, right? Now after queen b8, black could also be playing rook to e8. So after rook to e8, we could be playing queen to d6, trying to attack d4. Black would still go rook to e1, but now, since our queen is covering these squares from where black's queen initially was trying to threaten and do perpetual, we could just play knight takes h5. So in the exactly same line, if we go for it, there is no perpetual check. So for example, queen to e3, bishop to f3, here and here, and he doesn't have, if you remember, f4 check because of the position of our queen. There are alternative moves after queen here. We could also try queen to b4 when we overprotect this square as well. There are a couple of other moves, but perhaps the main line is king to h7 and then queen to b1. So that's a defensive idea. Yeshuo, you were correct. Congratulations. Alrighty, right. Number 10. This one is the best one maybe for today, huh? I like this one a lot. Spacklintor, it's okay. We're taking types step at a time, right? I promised I'm going to include both easy, intermediate, and advanced, and both strategy and tactics. This would be more strategy, but as you can see, tactics sometimes are related to strategy. But it was one very hard one. Now it's maybe hard from strategy point of view, but not so hard from tactics. What would you guys play here with black? One of the best examples I have seen. Black to play. Ooh, Yelit 21. Ay, very interesting move. Queen d4. Mangrover is asking, do we have to calculate one deep line or a number of short lines? When you're defending, you have to calculate every forcing move by white or by opponent. That's why it is so hard to defend, right? When you're attacking, you're focused on one move like sack or check, and it's a lot more easier most of the time. When you're defending, you have to look at these various combinations that opponent could do against you. I hope you guys saw black as a pawn up, by the way. Appeal is suggesting g5, huh? All right, this one is gonna be very good for you. Knight d7 by Shuva. This one is going to be a game changer for you guys. I really think this is going to be one of the best examples you have seen on defense. In general, on statics and dynamics, two terms that that refer to two big elements in chess. Statics means calm things and long-term things, whereas dynamic means short-term bursts. So perhaps there's going to be a stream on that as well. So many suggestions. I guess I can start explaining, and I can see all of your suggestions. And let me start with this. All right, here is the story of the position and how I believe you could be thinking. So try to understand the way I am thinking, and next time you can apply it, right? Black is a pawn up. Now, if I told you that white won the game in the next 5 or 10 moves, or if you think, how can opponent win this? It was, and without a blunder, it was most definitely a kingside attack. White already has 3 pieces over here, with the third one possibly wanting to go there. White is also threatening to damage our pawn structure, right? And win the pawn back. And so as black, you would like to take that away from him. So if white's plan, that's how a defender thinks. If white's plan is to attack you on the king side, how could you deal with that? Of course, counterattack. Perhaps you can set up some kind of fortress, but too many pieces are coming, right? And counterattack doesn't seem to be possible because you don't have a target that you could attack. You need to exchange the queens. So now, guys, I'm gonna try to comment first on the moves that you did play and they were incorrect. So, for example, let's say knight takes e3. Most of my students go for that. Rook takes e3 and now knight c6. What a beautiful story. We're gonna play rook c8. We're going to double up. Knight gets to b4. We're gonna penetrate to the second rank. All is good, right? Until you see bishop takes h6. Mamma mia, what happened? That's a blunder. Let's play next game. Or, okay, you make a draw or win here. Doesn't matter. But you don't want to analyze that game because it feels like you just blunder accidentally. No, that was not an accident. You were not thinking defense first. You were not thinking about opponent's threats, which you should all the time. What does white want? What would be his plan? He's not going to sit there in the shell and wait for you to achieve all of these ideas, right? So here bishop takes h6, and after you take, it's already very, very scary attack. So say king h8, queen d2, h6 is going to fall, and black is getting mated. So maybe there are still ways to be fine here if we don't take the bishop, right? So we could play, I don't know, knight to e7 or something, and maybe you're fine. But that's already not perhaps what we expected the game to be at the start, right? Now, you are better statically, long term. You're pawn up. So you don't need to create any kind of mess. What you need is to take the most dynamical piece off the board. And I pull my hat off to Yelit and also Carlos and all of you who saw queen to d4. Black is exchanging the queens by force. White is not able to maintain it because it's a double attack. And now look, completely different picture. We took any kind of attacking chances from white. Now we just play knight to c6, rook c8, rook c7, rook c8. My cat can win this against me with black, right? If I had one. Easy game. White has absolutely nothing to play for a win or threaten. We're gonna exchange the rooks along the c file. Our knights are even great. That's it. Nada for white. No counterplay. And that was one of the best examples that I have seen from the defense topic or exchanges topic, right? That was a good one, all right. So only if you start thinking about the opponent's threats all the time after every single move they play, you can get to the very, very top. It's a life-changing or, chess-changing notion, right? Think defense first. Don't play defense first, but you always want to know opponent's threats. So just imagine this position without the queens, and just the picture changes. Otherwise, white will go all in kingside attack. He's a pawn down, right? He's not gonna wait for you to do all of that, right? And double up and penetrate. We know you're winning on that side of the board, right, guys? Okay. That was a good one, right, guys? All right. Also, I want to know which one did you like the most. So if you later, after there is a video of the stream, if you can just put in the comments which was the best example, and let me know about that. I would be very curious to see your answers, guys. So all of you who will watch it, of course, later. Not everyone is coming to the live stream right now. Okay. Why to play here? Think about the black's threat and try to prevent it. So this one is a lot simpler. Yes, Shuvo, no Tal game, but I have a Tal game prepared for today. I promise you. I can even show it to you, right? That there is a name. Tal. Okay, this is Mikhail Tal. Told you, right? I didn't lie. But I don't think we're gonna be in time to see that today. I'm always over-prepared for the streams. If I told you how many hours I prepare for the stream, it would be a bit crazy. Alright, so why to play? What is black's threat? Positional threat, perhaps? Or tactical, if you can see one, and how can you prevent that? This one is not that hard. You can do it. You can get it if you really want. So knight takes f5, rook takes f5. We don't have any tricks, right? Because the bishop on e7 is guarded. That's what the elite is suggesting, right? Knight f5, rook f5. We don't have any tactics, yeah. Wojtek is suggesting a move. Are you from Poland, by the way? Gavlikovich, is that the right way to pronounce it? I'm from Lithuania, so I'm familiar with, a lot familiar with Poland. All right. So Divesh Pansari is the move that I wanted you to play. However, the eccentric horse 1-1 is suggesting a move that I also think is very, very good, maybe even better. So the idea is to play c3. And in this position, since Black has 2 bishops, it's almost always a good idea to exchange one of the opponent's bishop. So the idea is to play knight c2 and swap the bishops. I just wonder what would you play after c5, because now we don't swap the bishops, right? So I guess here that's why the player with the white pieces didn't play c3, right? Again, knight c2 now doesn't make any sense because you don't exchange it, right? Black is just gonna set up a blockade, I guess, and now Black is playing for the d4 break, I guess, right? So knight f3 here is possible. I'm pretty sure that this position is still very much fine for white, but again, I doubt that Black has big problems as well. Bishop e6 seems that, okay, unless you get knight g5, that might be annoying. I shouldn't maybe play bishop to e6, right? So I guess here white also is fine by maneuvering the knight. But I'm happy that most of you saw that c5 is the threat over here. And so very simple move just to get really very static and simple advantage would be the pawn move to b4, right? So very, very common with the knight outpost, right? We have a knight on d4, you like it there, just prevent c5 and you can maintain it. If you ever work on knight maneuvering with your coaches, guys, or with me, then in the streams, then you will see that it's a very common idea to prevent the pawn kicking out our knight like that. So b4 is false under the category of prophylaxis. All right, next one, number 12. This one is very good one. I like this one a lot. So Mangrover is also suggesting an idea, b6, c5. Now, you don't like your bishop. If we just could go back for one more second, right, in that position. 11, right? So imagine we play, can I play b4? And imagine, all right, can I play b6? All right. So imagine, first of all, what does this bishop think about you? He's not happy, right? Now if I go knight b3, right? Look at that bishop. Not happy, right? And I guess white wants to play, okay, moves like, I guess, a4 and keep it like that, right? So now I'm playing like against c5 and yeah, it's like a jail for the darker bishop, right? So I had to give it a comment on this one, right? Okay, guys, white to play here. So what should white be playing in this position? Maybe I set up a trap for you guys. Maybe I didn't. All of you who just joined and enjoying this stream, I would be very thankful if you put a like on this video, and after the stream, if you could put a positive comment for me under the video. I read them all, and I could be very happy if I could prepare even better for the next streams. Maybe you want specific type of examples, and let me know if I could bring them for you. The pawn is poisoned, Spacklunter is saying. And Sai is saying c5. We have a queen on c5, right? Eccentric horse 11. And advanced player in the stream, I can already tell, huh? And many suggestions, guys. And yes, the pawn is poisoned because of the back rank, right? So any bishop takes d5, at the end the back rank will suffer, right? So for example, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, right? And white is getting mated on the back rank. So this is the thing to watch out for. So as someone pointed out, any of these moves, play whichever you want, just to give a hideout for the king. I like G3 most, right? King goes up and then defends the F3 and G2. And then after whatever black plays, we're able to take on D5. Not after whatever, of course, but there's also a suggestion here, rook to A4, right? So what are we trying to do with rook to A4 after takes and takes? The question is, what was the point of all that, right? Because now we seem to have a weak pawn. We cannot win on d5, and this seems to be pretty equal. Remember, white wanted to win this game, right? Is that right, guys? Also, there is a suggestion b4. Very interesting. Counterattack in the stream of defense, right? Oh no, queen c3, right? And my idea basically is that if we take on d5, right? If we take on d5, I have a nasty rook a1, right? So again, like a cheapo trick for me to be alive. But actually, maybe if anything almost else, but you could play g3 anyway, right? Later, and then eat on d5. So I see no reason not to play g3, h4, or h3 to give a hideout for the king, and then comfortably eat the pawn on d5, right? So next move, white is playing bishop takes d5 if black doesn't do anything about it. Say g6, right, or something, to give a hideout for himself. Bishop takes d5, pawn up for white. Okay, number 13. So in this position, it's very interesting. White is threatening to develop initiative. Hello, Tim, in the chat. Welcome. Thank you, Mangrover. Good night to you. Thank you for popping here and stopping by. See you on Friday in the next stream. So, what kind of initiative does white want to develop? Those of you who are more advanced, try to evaluate that here and try to think of how would you respond to that. I will give you half of a minute. Hello, Mansi Patel. Hello. Thank you, Wojtak. Thank you very much for such a compliment. I'm actually working as a chess coach. I believe my the way to get a lesson with me would be in the comments, in the description. Shuvo, I was actually streaming the last Friday, didn't I? I made a video on French defense. The streams on Friday are a lot earlier. They're how many hours? Let me count. 6 hours earlier than on other days. It's black to play, guys. That's why I flipped the board. Right. So black to play. Alrighty, right. So already you had a good look at the position. White is threatening just knight c4, bishop b2, and ask the existence of the e5 pawn. Right. So the e5 pawn wants the one that white wants to attack, and the question is, what do we do about it? So what would you play here with black? Thank you, Spacklintor. KK91 already with an answer. Nice to see you here. So if say bishop to g4, right? There are many suggestions. Bishop to g4. Again, bishop to b2, right? And knight to c4. And I think that we should be fine as white, right? Now, right eccentric horse as well is suggesting of bishop g4. There is the thing is that bishop g4, I'm not saying that this is a bad move. I'm saying that there is much better move in the position. Thank you, KK91. Thank you very much for the compliment. So Shuvo and KK91 is suggesting the right move, but let me emphasize on that, guys. All right. Now, I wonder, those of you who play knight g4, what's the idea? The idea is to get knight to e3, but what if they don't blunder that? What if I just play, say, queen to e2? Cannot I follow that up with the same story? Now you need to play the same move that right now that was suggested by Shuvo, I assume, and also. All right, guys, I'm giving you the solution. So basically, the first guy to move is going to develop the initiative here, and as we're defending, I didn't give you enough examples perhaps today on the counterattack, which is the main way of defending. And if you feel right now White is threatening to develop the initiative. However, we as black can do it first. And the go-to move, the best move in the position, is c6, and white is having huge problems. Probably lost after this move. What's the idea? The idea, first of all, initially, is that we're attacking d5 and white cannot defend it more. So the pawn is dropping. So pretty much white has to take. There is no other move. And now, instead of taking on c6, we play queen takes d3 with massive initiative again. So right now in this position, e4 is hanging. And so say c6 is also hanging. So two pawns are hanging. So say c takes b7, bishop takes b7, and now I play rook d8. I'm threatening knight takes e4, say rook e1, knight takes e4. Black is just winning. So huge initiative after this pawn break to c6. So I set up a trap by saying how to defend, and the answer was to defend with a counterattack here, which is one of the main themes of... there's also a saying that you have all heard of, perhaps, right? That the best way to defend is to attack, right? So queen d4 is covered by the knight. Someone is asking why not queen d4. Probably you didn't mean Dave. Dave, by the way, welcome to the chat. Probably you didn't mean d4 square, right? So did I make it clear why c6 is so good? I hope I explained that well, and that whole initiative that follows, right? So c6, one more time because it's so beautiful, and queen d3 and massive initiative. White never had a chance to play knight c4, bishop b2, and put us in the defensive position. So yes, the last line perhaps we could look at is after c6, what if knight c4? So again, I guess d5 is very, very shaky. Like, this is just good for black. Again, our pieces are the ones that are opening. Don't forget about this bishop over here, right? And white is definitely in trouble here, right? So I don't know, takes on e4, for example, right? I take on d5, I take on e4, right? It just looks very good for black, doesn't it? Probably we just take. Okay, now knight takes e4, queen b6 is in there, right? There is a pin over here, right? I think I convinced you guys, right? The last line perhaps that we could look at, there is also a trick or a trap, knight takes d5. The idea is that after we take, we play e4 and win the exchange. And those of you who might thought about that when you're watching the video, there is knight takes e4, and after bishop takes a1, there is bishop to g5, discovered attack. And so white is winning in this position because you didn't win an exchange, you lost dark square bishop, rook for two pieces, and all your dark squares suffer, and you're gonna get mated here as black, right? So here, very interesting idea by Eccentric Horse 1-1. They didn't consider c6 because it creates an isolate pawn, gets rid of white's doubled pawns. But every move has advantages and disadvantages to it. A lot of the times it's the other way around. We're too much focused on the advantages of the move, and then we blender the weakness that the move created. Now here for you personally, Eccentric Horse 1-1, you were too much focused on disadvantages of the move and you didn't see advantages. Remember that every move has benefits and negatives to it. Your task is to measure them and come up with the conclusion if the positives outcome the negatives. Then the positives are that you're developing massive initiative, and these are gonna just drop. Your pieces all get into the game, as we saw. I mean, too many pieces are coming, like all armies coming to play, and the weaknesses and double pawns, that the fact that we undoubled them have nothing to do with the evaluation of the position. Isn't that true, right? I hope I did explain it well. Alright guys, thank you very much, all of you who enjoyed the stream. Thank you for all the likes on the video. If you have any comments, please leave them under this video. I try to read them all. Thank you really very much for a wonderful show and audience. I will see you all on Friday. On Friday I'm streaming at 14 CST, so it's gonna be, I believe, 6 hours earlier than we started today. See you very, very soon, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, continue loving the game. Thank you very much, guys.